What's up guys and welcome to Clockwerk Theory number 5. Now if you haven't seen the other ones, make sure to check them out, if you have time of course. They're pretty interesting. Now I've been reading comments and someone mentioned something very interesting, which I haven't gone over, and it has to do with alchemy. What exactly is alchemy? Alchemy was considered this very early form of chemistry and philosophy. Here's what alchemy means according to an article. Alchemy is a path of personal transformation and ultimately one of personal illumination or enlightenment. It is a practice fueled by simple awareness and energy gathering exercises, which allows one to become more fully awake and eventually sustain awakened or illuminated states of consciousness to achieve a fully illumined state. Alchemy in general is a form of transformation of turning one form or matter into another. Alchemy in general is a form of transformation of turning one form or matter into another. Didn't Clockwerk turn himself into metal? Didn't he turn one matter into another? He was an organic life form. Clockwerk was probably smart enough to turn himself immortal without anyone's help or knowledge. Plus, alchemy is a practice fueled by simple awareness and energy gathering exercises. Could this describe the hate chip? I mean, we're talking about a chip fueled by hate and jealousy. How is that even possible? Now a lot of you in part 4 left a bunch of comments like, but dude, what about the hate chip? It's a very futuristic piece of technology. How did Clockwerk come up with that? It's a very interesting question. I decided to leave the hate chip for this video. Now before I get into that, I'd like to go over a few things first. Okay, if Clockwerk truly turned himself robotic on his own, if he's that smart, then what if he comes from a long line of family of smart owls? Who knows, maybe his family is the one who started this whole technology thing back then. It's maybe due to them that technology started evolving. I mean, let's take Ryoichi for example. He's the inventor of sushi in Sly 4. So basically some characters in the Sly Cooper universe, the Coopers especially, are portraying characters of our own reality. It's like saying the Sly Cooper series is loosely based off our own history. Sushi was invented in early 1800s. Now in the Sly Cooper series, Ryoichi was born around 1560. So let's just say he came up with sushi around the beginning of 1600s. So it's loosely based off our own timeline. Why not take this idea and apply it to Clockwerk? What if Clockwerk's family is the one who discovered new technology back in ancient Egypt? Who knows, maybe one of his ancestors served for the king, a pharaoh. And what if that pharaoh was a Cooper? We don't know what happened before Sly Cooper. We don't know what happened before the Thievius Raccoonus. Were all Coopers nice? Were they evil? No one really knows. This whole idea of serving a king brings me to Imhotep. Back in 2600 BC, this vizier was considered an engineer, a physician. He was considered as a god, let's say. He had a very divine status, and he worked for a pharaoh who goes by the name Djoser. Imhotep is actually the one who came up with the first pyramid, if I'm not mistaken. And Imhotep, we're talking about 2600 BC. If we apply this to the Sly Cooper universe, this takes place way before Sly Cooper's time, which is 1350 BC. Let's take Ryoichi again as an example. He created sushi, right? Why not make this Djoser a Cooper? Why not make him a powerful pharaoh? Maybe he could be evil in Sly Cooper. And maybe Clockwerk's ancestor, Imhotep, let's take that for example. He was nice. What if Clockwerk's ancestor was treated very poorly? What if the pharaoh took all the credit? Or something like that. There's so much one can come up with. I mean, what caused Clockwerk's hatred? What if an ancestor before Sly Cooper had some sort of rivalry between Clockwerk's ancestor? What if they were both smart? What if they both tried serving the king? What if the king, the pharaoh, gave one of them a higher status? One probably became jealous, and that jealous person is probably Clockwerk's ancestor. Or who knows, maybe that one Cooper framed Clockwerk's ancestor, right? Think about it, if Clockwerk's ancestor was framed, maybe this hate and jealousy has been part of Clockwerk's family for years. By years I mean around ancient Egypt, not the future. Clockwerk having ancestors in the future, it's not possible. I mean, how is he supposed to have kids? Unless he had kids before turning robotic, but no one knows that. Now in Sly 1, Clockwerk mentioned that he wanted to be the greatest thief alive. If his ancestors were the smart people, then why would Clockwerk want to become the greatest thief? Let's think of it this way. Clockwerk's ancestor and Sly Cooper's ancestor were both smart, well probably, and they were both competing against each other. Not only were they smart, but they were probably both thieves. Maybe the king, the pharaoh, wanted both to steal from other kings. Maybe one was better than the other. Maybe Clockwerk's ancestor was better. And what could have happened to cause this ultimate hatred? Maybe Sly's ancestor took all the credit. Maybe he framed Clockwerk's ancestor. And because of that, Clockwerk's family always saw the Coopers as traitors. And because of that, this hate and jealousy just spread and eventually came into contact with Clockwerk. Who knows, maybe Sly Cooper is a bad person. Maybe he hurt his family. Maybe Clockwerk is trying to avenge his parents or something like that. There's just so many ideas as to what could have caused this madness. Now guys, what do you think caused this hatred? Share what you think in the comments. Alright, with that being said, let's move on to the hate chip. Okay, Clockwerk probably turned himself robotic. I mean, metal forging was a thing back then. Maybe Clockwerk had ways of doing so. But how can we explain the hate chip? It's a very advanced piece of technology. Someone in the comment section mentioned that it's not like Clockwerk turned himself robotic in 5 minutes. Maybe he replaced all of his body parts with time. All of his body parts are made of metal. He's completely metallic. No organic life form whatsoever. Like someone mentioned in the comments, maybe he replaced his heart with metal to start off with. Then again, in Sly 1, Clockwerk explained that he lived with a steady diet of jealousy and hate. He lived for hundreds of years. Maybe that could explain that Clockwerk turned metal in one go. Like he completely replaced all of his body parts with metal in one shot. Plus, think about this guys. He needs hate and jealousy to fuel his hate chip, right? Let's take the Easter eggs in Sly 4 for example. He was stalking the Coopers. He was doing that in order to survive. Okay, let's assume Clockwerk turned himself robotic slowly. Let's say he was semi-robotic in ancient Egypt. Semi-robotic as in the hate chip wasn't discovered yet. It wasn't part of Clockwerk yet. Like I said many times, the hate chip is way too futuristic. What if the hate chip was found inside the blimp? What if this chip is what powered up the blimp? Think about that. At first, the hate chip wasn't fueled with hate or jealousy. It was a simple chip at first. Now, could this chip have come into contact with black magic? Black magic has been mentioned in Sly Cooper 2, and this whole thing about magic brings me to the Contessa. In Sly 2, during the mission where Sly was trying to save Carmelita, Sly basically took a bunch of screenshots. And guess what Bentley discovered? He discovered the Mind Shuffler. Bentley did not think they were real. According to him, they're made of equal parts science and black magic. Not only that, during a cutscene with Murray, the bad mojo collector was mentioned. It's a semi-magical device that sucks up bad mojo. Were these types of machines involved in the creation of Clockwerk? Could one of Contessa's ancestors been involved with the creation of Clockwerk? I mean look, Contessa's pretty good with hypnosis. Don't Clockwerk's eyes cause people to just get transfixed? How did Contessa even know how to use those things? Something tells me that her whole family had experience with hypnosis. I mean, Clockwerk had hypnotic eyes. What if one of her ancestors created those eyes? I mean, weren't semi-scientific and semi-magical machines mentioned in Sly 2? How'd she even acquire those? Bentley didn't think they were real. Think about that. What if her ancestors had skill with magic and science? Now, before I get into anything else, who was Contessa? I'll quickly go over it. She worked for Interpol. She was a secret member of the Claw Gang. Before joining Interpol, she studied criminal psychology. Then she married this wealthy aristocrat who mysteriously died after drinking poisoned wine. He actually died a few weeks later. Okay, either magic was involved or the poison simply took a while to attack his system. Who knows, maybe the poison was equal parts science and magic. Anyways, Contessa had this rehabilitation clinic for criminals. She supposedly cured criminals from their illegal activities to try and stop him. But no, later Bentley discovered that she was hypnotizing people into revealing their loot. Now, why exactly did she try to hypnotize Carmelita? She tried to reprogram her mind so that she would take the fall for Contessa. Anyways, in the end, she got caught and got arrested. And according to the credits, she eventually became this very successful real estate agent. She probably used hypnosis to gain her success. Okay, where am I going with this? Since Contessa knows how to use these devices which are equal parts science and magic, could one of her ancestors been involved with the creation of immortal Clockwerk? During a cutscene, we see these two portraits in the back. Judging by the colors, they look old. They're the same. Now at first, I was like, oh, that's probably her husband. I mean, look at the hat, look at the mustache. They look alike. But in those portraits, we see the man holding a cane. Now during her wedding with the aristocrat, the guy wasn't holding a cane. Okay, maybe this picture was painted later on. But when she got married, there was no Kane, and he eventually died a few weeks later. So maybe this guy in the portrait is probably her great-great-grandfather or ancestor. And maybe Sucker Punch was trying to give us small hints? It doesn't look very obvious. I might be overthinking. This is probably her husband we're talking about. But it's still interesting to notice, I guess. So this whole idea about equal parts science and magic brings me to the hate chip. Someone, maybe Contessa's ancestor, found this powerful chip in the blimp. Maybe it was Clockwerk. Maybe he found the chip and was friends with one of her ancestors. That ancestor probably had the brains to transform the chip we know into the hate chip. Equal parts science, equal parts black magic. And that magic was using Clockwerk's hate to give him fuel. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that the hate chip is equal parts science and magic? Plus, didn't Clockwerk's eyes have the ability to transfix people? It's like hypnosis. Maybe this ancestor had the ability to hypnotize people. Hypnosis was probably in Contessa's family for generations. Okay, since we're talking about magic, what about the guru from Sly 3? What about Miss Ruby from the first game? Miss Ruby was known for her voodoo magic. And the guru, although known for having hypnotic powers, I don't think he was involved with the whole Clockwerk turning immortal thing. I think there's more hints towards Contessa's ancestor being involved. Look, in Sly 2 during a cutscene, Contessa mentioned that Sly was playing dress up in his father's legacy. She knew all about the Cooper clan. How is that possible? Maybe her parents told her a bunch of stories. Maybe her parents explained to her that her ancestors knew how to work with magic and science. And she was probably very young when she heard these stories. I mean, what did she exactly know about the Cooper clan? Okay, maybe she knew that they were following this legacy, but what if she knew more? What if she knew about the whole background of Clockwerk? I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll let you guys think about it. Now, okay, Clockwerk turned into what he is due to the blimp crashing in ancient Egypt. So was all of this destined to happen? If he found the hate chip inside the blimp, does this mean that Sly was destined to crash in ancient Egypt? How did he crash in ancient Egypt? Penelope made this portal for Le Paradox. Did she make that portal on purpose? Did she find out about the chip that Clockwerk had? Did she use the same technology to power the blimp? What if she knew about Clockwerk? What if she wanted Clockwerk to come back? What if she made the portal on purpose so that the blimp would crash in ancient Egypt, so that Clockwerk would eventually find the chip that Penelope created? Guys, isn't time travel just wonderful? It complicates everything. I can agree on that. But it's also very interesting at the same time. So there you have it, guys. This was Clockwerk Theory number 5. Is there going to be number 6? Yes, but I don't know when that's going to be up. So you guys will have to wait. Now, is part 6 going to be the last part? I'm not too sure. But anyways, hopefully you've enjoyed this one, guys. A lot of you are probably confused right now, as usual, but it's okay. At least we're having fun, right? So as usual, I've been Vivi, and thanks for watching, guys.